Coming up, we discuss the latest coming to Disney's Hollywood Studios next year. We talk about the brand new nighttime parade Starlight at the Magic Kingdom, as well as discuss the Walt Disney World hotels as well as Disney Vacation Club. All that coming to you from Disney's Old Key West Resort at the Walt Disney World Resort. You are listening to a very special episode of the Theme Park Land podcast. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Theme Park Land podcast, episode 6. I am your host, Matt Dobrovolsky, joined, as always, by my amazing co-host, Matt Rogers.
Hello everyone, and welcome back from Old Key West Resort.
Yes, welcome to a very special episode where we're on location this week. On location at quite possibly my favorite hotel in all of Walt Disney World, as Matt is getting bitten by all the bugs that are out here. And we're also sweating our butts off because of the humidity out here.
But it's pretty.
It is gorgeous. I am always in love with this hotel. If you're hearing sounds behind us, that is the gigantic fountain that is in the little pond as we record on the little patio outside of our villa. It's absolutely gorgeous. Like, we've got palm trees and everything.
We've got the
golf course, yep. And, you know, again, this is quite possibly my favorite resort that I've truly ever stayed at domestically.
I definitely think it's my favorite outside of Fort Wilderness.
Yeah, I know you love Fort Wilderness, and you know, but you love the old cabins of Fort Wilderness.
Yes, I don't have the experience with the new cabins. I think one of the things that works for me in a resort is the resort itself has to be its own attraction. It has to speak for itself. When I'm at Disney World or Universal, I just don't want a hotel in a theme park. I want something I can't get anywhere else.
Exactly. And, you know, we're going to be talking more about our experience here at Old Key West, as well as Disney Vacation Club and hotels in general a little bit later on. But we're going to jump right into our first news story of the week. And that would be something that I am looking forward to immensely. And that is the Disney Animation building is coming back to Hollywood Studios next year. In 2026, the current home of Star Wars Launch Bay will be transformed into, quote, a place where kids and kids at heart can laugh, draw, dream, and explore animated new experiences at the magic of Disney animation. Topping the building will be Mickey's iconic sorcerer hat, just like the real one at the animation building in California. And Disney says that you will be able to wander around the corridors of the building and find portraits that will come to life before your eyes, just like they did in Once Upon a Studio. You'll find an inspirational short film with a twist, and you'll even be able to pencil in some time at the Animation Academy learning how to draw characters. Young ones can also explore the Drawn to Wonderland playground, filled with oversized flower garden with musical instruments, a Mad Tea Party playset, and a Tulgey Wood exploration area, all inspired from Alice in Wonderland, and more importantly, the concept art from Disney legend Mary Blair. In addition to the animation building, the whole animation courtyard will be transformed to look like the Walt Disney Studios lot in Burbank. The buildings that house the Little Mermaid show and Disney Junior will transform into sound stages, very reminiscent of the studio lot, but also too, the iconic archway will be taken down in favor of a new sign for the Walt Disney Studios that replicates itself from the studio lot in California. I know Matt has some opinions on this, but I am beyond excited for this project. This The animation building has been so iconic since 1989 when that park opened, and I am so glad that they're going back to their roots of this. And a lot of people will say, well, Matt, you opened Star Wars Launch Bay. You must be devastated that they're closing it. And I will say, absolutely not. Star Wars Launch Bay was always meant to be a temporary exhibition, if you will, before Galaxy's Edge would open.
It's 100% outlived its use.
Absolutely.
At this point, it needs to go, no question about it.
I mean, when we came back from COVID, granted, Launch Bay didn't open immediately because we thought, oh, it's closing. That makes sense. But then they slowly returned it when the character experiences were starting to come back. Look, the only thing that I'm going to be kind of upset with this closing is the artifacts that are in there. They have one of the land speeders from Return of the Jedi in there. They have Anakin's pod racer from Episode 1. But a lot of those props and memorabilia that you're seeing are replicas. They're not the real thing that you saw in the movie. So
is it really a loss then?
Is that really a loss? The two ones that I just mentioned, yeah, to me that's a little bit of a loss, but I'm sure Lucasfilm will be preserving those. But the animation building is so iconic, and I'm so glad that we're going back to the roots with that. I'm interested to see what the short film is going to be like, because if it's going to be like the one that they had with Mushu, where, you know, the cast member was interacting with Mushu on stage, if they bring that back, that's going to be incredible. And the fact that they're also bringing back the Animation Academy, they're going to have character experiences in there. They're going to have this playground for Alice in Wonderland. I'm excited. I'm excited that they're bringing this back.
I have conditional excitement.
Go on.
So, looking at the concept art and reading the description, right? It is apparent the building itself is staying as is, right? That's not changing. So what are they doing with the space inside? So they're doing a film of some sort. There's already a theater in the building. So we're going to be using that theater, most likely, right? You think about where the Alice in Wonderland play area.
That I'm very curious to see where that would go.
I suspect it's going to go in that open courtyard in the middle.
Is that enough space for what they're thinking about with this playground?
We don't know the scale.
Correct.
But it's a place that's not being used.
Yeah.
So,
but do you really want to have an outdoor play area then?
It's better than having empty space. You know, when it says character meet and greets inside, right, where we can meet our characters, there's already meet and greet areas. There's already infrastructure in the building for meet and greet, right? So it's just a matter of retheming it on the inside to what it's going to look like. So the question is inside, how much of that is actually going to change from a layout or an infrastructure standpoint?
Again,
right?
But that's the other thing too, is that when they switched this over to Launch Bay, they didn't really make that much in the way of changes.
They just dressed it up.
They dressed it up to Star Wars.
So
I know they did build out those character experiences because, if I remember correctly, when it was the animation building, where the character experiences are, I think that was just backstage areas.
Now, to be fair, I never experienced the animation building, right?
Oh, you never?
No, I never experienced the original animation, so I'm saying
you're talking. So you're talking the original one with Robin Williams and Walter.
Yeah,
Cronkite.
I never experienced it.
Okay, we're gonna watch that later on.
But
so this way you can understand that.
But it's. I'm just looking at the building from like an engineering perspective, looking at the work they've done the past few years for things like Test Track Tiana, right? New attractions they've opened, kind of the way it's been going, and just trying to get a realistic handle on what we could expect. So I don't expect much of the building to actually change. I just expect it to be kind of dressed up.
Oh, no.
In terms of, you said in the announcement, it's these paintings that are coming to life, right? Well, Disney has already been doing that for a while.
On Disney Cruise Line.
On Disney Cruise Line, but also in Runaway Railway Queue.
True.
And
you are,
the teaser posters in the Runaway Railway Queue And also, they were doing it for Great Movie Ride. Some of those, the movie posters in the Great Movie Ride would kind of come to life a little bit, right?
Right.
So I think we can just kind of expect to see that a little bit.
And I think that's what it will be.
Which is, none of this is a bad thing.
No,
I mean,
no.
anything's better
Am
than
I
Launch Bay.
expecting Mickey to be able to jump out of the painting like he actually does in Once Upon a Studio? No, absolutely not. Would that be cool? Yes. That would be really cool.
But anything's
we
better than
can't
Launch
expect
Bay
that.
at this point. And,
Exactly. Launch Bay is a shadow of its former self.
And at the end of the day, my personal dream of any new attraction in the park is give me a unique attraction that hasn't been done before, right? Something new to see. That's what I want. So if they can do that with this, that's great. But also at the same time, if it's indoor air-conditioned space that you don't have to fight for in a queue line, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, that can't hurt either.
The only thing you'll have to wait for is if you're going to start with the film more than likely.
Right.
But they'll probably, like they were
It'll have a
doing even
decent
with
capacity.
the animation building towards the end, was you could skip the film if you wanted to and just go right into the exhibits
Now,
and everything like that.
The only kind of thing holding me back from fully supporting this idea is the area itself that they're talking about is pretty significant, that a new attraction could go there.
But I think this is also squashing the idea of a new attraction going.
It is.
And I'm okay with that. Because we all thought Monsters was going to go there. And then they turned right around and they said, no, we're going to replace Muppets Courtyard and that'll be Monsters.
What do they do with Disney Junior? Because they said there's a new show.
They did say Disney Junior is staying, but it will be a new show. So, what does that mean?
Whatever's
it's going to stick around for
whatever's relevant in Disney Junior realm.
Exactly. They'll update it to have all the, maybe they'll have Bluey in there. Who knows? I mean, I'm not that big onto Disney.
The
Junior.
rumor mill says some interesting things happen with that contract.
Well, they also just premiered Mickey Mouse Clubhouse Plus, so maybe they'll reinvent the show again to have Mickey and Friends in there. Probably.
That's my opinions on the animation.
But the nice thing is that the whole courtyard there, they're going to have trees and everything there now. It's not going to be just a slab of concrete. And shade, more importantly, in a theme park in Central Florida.
In this park.
So that's a great thing. I'm very excited for this project. I cannot wait to see more details about it. I'm very excited. I really cannot wait for this.
It might be a thing where less is more.
True. Very true.
So,
let's move on to our next discussion. Something that you haven't seen yet, Matt, but I have seen the brand new nighttime parade for the Magic Kingdom.
The parade.
Disney Starlight. Dream the Night Away.
It looks really nice.
It looks gorgeous. It was gorgeous. It is... The music is going to be stuck in my head all the rest of the summer. By the digital soundtrack for Starlight will be released onto digital platforms tomorrow, July 25th.
Woot woot.
So if you're listening to this after July 25th, be sure to head over to Apple Music or wherever you get your music and download the soundtrack, because the soundtrack is extremely catchy. Not to release any spoilers, but the music plays such a huge part, especially in the beginning for nostalgia purposes. And I think when that music began at the beginning, there was not a dry eye in town square from where I was seeing this.
Now, I gotta say, Disney Entertainment, that division that creates these shows, these parades, these nighttime spectaculars that we see, but all the in-park live entertainment, they do absolutely fantastic. The team that they have that does these scores and the music for these live entertainment shows, it's incredible, because there's always this catchy bass and it's always a catchy tune. I don't think there's been a miss in the past 15 years.
It's always amazing when you have that full symphony orchestra, like they basically have with this. Most of the time, though, when I see it being a full symphony orchestra, it's fantastic. But when it's not, it can kind of be a hit or miss, at least in my view. The visuals that you have at the parade are gorgeous. The lights are I believe the same type of LEDs that they're using on the boats in Fantasmic, and doing that same type of transition, that fluid transition with the lights. It really is vibrant, and it lights up all of Main Street, which is perfect.
It gives very strong Paint the Night vibes.
Not to the scale, in my opinion, at least. Paint the Night, I believe, is on such a grander scale than this is.
You know what supports it? The in-park lighting rigs they have along the parade route at Disneyland.
Correct.
That's what really supports
Which
Paint
we
the Night.
have.
Not
as
nearly
much
as
they do. And because the only massive float that you have is that finale float, where Mickey and everyone are on there with the train. That is the only float that's truly massive. I would say the Blue Fairy is a little bit as well. But all these other floats are very small in scale. If you're comparing these to the scale of the floats that they use in Festival of Fantasy, some people may be disappointed.
Do you think it's disappointing?
No. I think it's very quaint for what it is.
Okay.
Again, my opinion is this. Starlight is incredible. Is it my favorite nighttime parade ever? Absolutely not. That is still reserved for Spectro Magic. Is it better than the Electrical Parade? I would say it's up to par with Electrical Parade. I was never that big of a fan of Electrical Parade. Is it up to par with something like Paint the Night or even Fantalusion from back in the day? Absolutely not. Those parades are still iconic. This parade is iconic too for a different reason. It is that quaintness to it too. If I'm in the Magic Kingdom at nights, I will watch this. I will go out of my way to watch this. I'm not going to go stake out a spot on the street an hour and a half before, but I will try and see this at some point.
Well, in Magic Kingdom, the functionality of a nighttime parade for Magic Kingdom is actually really important for crowd disbursement.
Correct.
For years we haven't had a nighttime parade for a better part of a decade now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is you have fireworks, and then everybody leaves after the fireworks, and that's very hard on a park exit. Everyone leaves the park at the same time. Now, some people leave after the fireworks, and they do a parade after fireworks, so some people still stay. It kind of disperses people trying to leave at the same time.
Although I will say I've seen pictures on social media of after the fireworks, and it's still a mob of people trying to get.
Well, that's why a lot of times they're doing a parade before fireworks and a parade after fireworks.
Right. Which, I've been telling people that if you're going to go see this parade, here was my tip that I would have done in Disneyland under the same circumstances. Don't worry about the first parade. Go to Center Street, that little corner street on Main Street.
Right.
And you can see and hear the parade from afar. But when the parade is over, you swoop right in there and get that amazing spot right at the center of Main Street for Happily Ever After in this case. See the fireworks with the projections up and down Main Street. It's gorgeous. Then when the fireworks are over, you hightail it right over to the street curb, and you only have to wait about 30 minutes for Starlight to come back out. This parade is also starting from Town Square, right there by City Hall, just like Spectrum Magic and Main Street Electrical Parade did in the past. A lot of people are assuming that it's starting over by Tiana's just like Festival of Fantasy does, and that is not the case. It will end at Tiana's for both parades. Again, that was something else that people were thinking of, is that, they would just reverse course for the 11 o'clock parade. No, they will head back around to start again in Town Square. So you will not be able to see this parade ever at this rate coming down Main Street with Cinderella Castle in the background. The only way to see this really with Cinderella Castle in the background is if you get a spot over by the Liberty Square Bridge. And then this way you can see it make that turn right there. Again, overall, this parade is fantastic. I am also glad that after over 10 years, we have a nighttime parade back at the Magic Kingdom.
It's kind of weird that we haven't had one for that long. And
I
wonder if that's some form of neglect. But
I don't think it's neglect. I think it is.
Because all the other parks around the world, all the other Disney Kingdom parks,
It is the
have a
notion
nighttime
of did
parade.
they need to? Was it an absolute necessity? And I will say this: Starlight. Gosh, why am I blanking on everything else that is kind of open? The Little Mermaid show, Villains, Test Track, all these new projects that we've been getting over these last few months is making me hopeful for these expansions that we're doing over the next few years. Now, granted, the next big thing that we're getting is this Zootopia show inside Animal Kingdom, like we discussed last week.
I wouldn't call that big. That's more of a seat
I wouldn't
ticket.
call that big either. But the next true thing after that, again, Walt Disney Studios area for Hollywood Studios that we just discussed, again, not that big, but the next true big thing would be probably Tropical Americas. And then we'll have Cars Land, and then we'll have
wouldn't even
Monsters, and then we'll
call
have
that
Villains.
I see, and the other thing is, like, I guess this is where you and I kind of disagree. I don't personally look at those as expansions. I look at them as replacements with increased capacity.
I will, again, I believe we talked about this last week in that, yes, replacing Dinosaur would not be a increase of capacity, it's just the same thing. However, Encanto, even though we don't know anything about the ride, it is going to increase capacity because Primeval World did not.
In my definition, an expansion is adding something without replacing anything.
Which, I mean, to that point, the next thing would be Monsters. Because Monsters, they are building the coaster on the cast member parking lot. And that, I mean, obviously there was nothing there except the parking lot.
That
for cast
attraction in
members.
itself is an expansion. I look at that as more of an expansion.
Correct. But anyway, the next time you are at Walt Disney World, be sure to head over to the Magic Kingdom, check out Starlight. Annual pass holders, you do have some semi-restrictions, if you will, getting over there. If you know as an annual pass holder, you can get into any park after 2 o'clock without a reservation on weekdays. That is not the case right now for Magic Kingdom. The only way to get into Magic Kingdom if you are an annual pass holder would be to have a park reservation for Magic Kingdom or have redeemed your park reservation at the other 3 parks, and then you can park hop.
Read the fine print.
Read the fine print, please. It is, I mean, believe me, it took me a little bit of time to try and figure that out, because this is very convoluted. And I agree, I think pass holders, especially the top tier, they really shouldn't have this type of a restriction for the parks. Hopefully this will only be like a 1-2 week thing until Starlight's hype dies down. And
It'll probably, I envision it going until Halloween,
until the Halloween parties start up next month. Yeah.
at least.
Yeah. Because, that's the other thing to keep in mind, too, is if you are visiting Walt Disney World between, actually, basically for the rest of the year, because right after the Halloween party, you'll have the Christmas party. If you are visiting the Magic Kingdom on Halloween or Christmas party nights, Disney Starlight will not be showing. The only way to see Starlight would be on non-party nights at the Magic Kingdom.
It's the best time of year.
Yeah, exactly. That being said, let us move on, and we're going to talk a little bit about Walt Disney World Resort hotels. I think this was only fitting that we had this discussion while we are, again, recording from Disney's Old Key West Resort. Like I said, this is my favorite hotel, probably domestically, if anything, because I love the quaintness of it. I love the colors that you have. It makes me feel like I'm in Key West, down in the Keys.
I'm going to ruin your day.
Oh boy.
That banister is installed upside down.
Which one are you talking about? You're talking about the corner banister?
The one at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're not going to be able to unsee it. I've been staring at it for 20 minutes.
Yeah, this is that's OCD kicking in. That really is OCD.
I'll post it on the TikTok.
Yeah.
On our pages. But yeah, Disney, they essentially invented the theme park resort when they built Walt Disney World.
They did.
But it goes back even before Disney World. It goes back to Disneyland, right? So Disneyland, when Disneyland opened, it didn't have a hotel. And Disney really wanted a place for his guests to stay. Because at the time, Anaheim was out in the middle of nowhere.
You also had the tacky Harbor Boulevard
Those
hotels
hotels
that
were
starting
starting
to
out.
pop up.
So Disney wanted to build a hotel, but he had no experience in that. So he had a friend, Jack Rather, who had a small hotel chain or something like that. So he contracted out the hotel to him. And Jack Rather built the Disneyland Hotel and owned and operated it until around 1988. And that's when Disney actually acquired the Disneyland Hotel. So it's actually the same business model as Universal does right now. They contract all their hotels out to Lowe's. And it's a good thing, too, because Lowe's does very good hotels. So why not just have them do it?
But at one point they said, we're not going to do that and we're going to own and operate all of these hotels.
And
well, Walt Disney World being the exception with having Swan and Dolphin and the Bonnet Creek hotels.
but the initial conception was that Disney would own and operate their own hotels when they opened Disney World.
Correct.
So fast forward, the original 2 hotels on Disney World property were the Polynesian and the Contemporary. Now the Polynesian looks absolutely beautiful. Was there
Technically, you also had Fort Wilderness as well, remember?
It didn't open with the resort. It
No,
opened
I
like a year
believe it
later.
did.
It opened like a year later. Is my research wrong? Probably.
Possibly.
But around the Seven Seas Lagoon, the original concept was for the hotels to kind of reflect the layout of Magic Kingdom. So Polynesian's kind of like Adventureland, Contemporary's kind of like Tomorrowland.
Fort Wilderness opened a month later in November.
Okay,
of
close enough.
1971.
Close enough. Fort Wilderness also used to have a train,
Yes.
which there's
Don't-
still
Don't
remnants
get
of it.
Matt started on the train.
I love trains. There's still remnants of it around if you know where to look.
Mhm.
But anyways, Disney World, of course, has many hotels that didn't get built, that were supposed to be built in its original conception. These include the Mediterranean Hotel, the Venetian Hotel, the Persian, and the Asian resorts. And yes, that was its name, the Asian Resort, and some things are left better unbuilt.
Yeah, to be politically correct, it'd probably have to change its name by now.
No, I mean, but you got to think about the products of their time. These were designed in the 60s, and that was a hot time for civil rights, I'll tell you what.
Yep.
But today, Disneyland has several hotels now, the Grand Californian and Pixar Place. Pixar Place was actually a hotel that was quote-unquote off-property that Disney acquired at some point.
They acquired it, I believe it was in the mid-90s, if I remember correctly.
But it wasn't their property originally, but then they bought it. Disney World now has over 30 hotels. I can't even name them all. But our favorites include the original, Grand Floridian, Fort Wilderness, Wilderness Lodge, Animal Kingdom Lodge, Port Orleans, Key West.
Old Key West.
Old Key
Absolutely.
West.
Hey, really quick, because you also did mention Grand Floridian. We were over there the other night because we had dinner with my parents over at Narcissus. And the amount of work that is going on in that lobby right now. Wow. There is no more birdcage that was in there. If you remember that iconic birdcage.
Were there ever actually birds in there?
I don't think so. But like they took that out because then they're going to make it a bar. Of course they are.
I like bars.
But the whole front desk concierge area that is closed off, walled off, and the front desk cast members have taken over like random spots where like all the furniture is there in the
They're
center.
kind of floating around the room.
Yeah, it's very weird. There's a lot of construction going on there, and I'm sorry if you're paying rack rate for Grand Floridian right now with all that construction.
I would want a discount.
I would be wanting a discount immediately because
It's not good
wow,
show.
that there's a lot of construction going on in that lobby.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's something they are doing. I know, like when like the
Right, we don't know exactly.
I know
what the
when like
rates
an
are
amenity
right now.
like the Skyliner is closed, those resorts offer cheaper rates because the Skyliner's closed.
Interesting.
So I wonder if
Well,
they're
I
doing
mean,
anything for
that
Grand
that
Floridian
was
right now.
proven that when the Skyliner was added,
The prices went up.
The demand for those hotels shot up significantly, so they had to increase the price.
There's also Disney hotels all around the world. There's DVC hotels like Aulani and
Yeah,
Vero
Aulani,
Beach. Vero Beach.
Vero
They're not
Beach,
at Disney
Hilton
resorts,
Head in South Carolina.
but they're not at theme park resorts. They're just hotel
They're
experiences.
just hotel experiences.
But there's also some really interesting hotels at some of the theme parks abroad, like the Disneyland Hotel in Paris and Fantasy Springs Hotel in Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
They look
Or you also have the
absolutely
Hotel
amazing.
Miracosta that's in Tokyo Disney Sea, which is gorgeous. You also have the Sequoia Lodge that's in Paris. I
Kind
wanna
of the
stay
ultimate
there.
Frontierland hotel, if you will.
Well, it's very reminiscent of Wilderness Lodge from what I could see in the lobby
Okay.
pictures. I've never been to Disneyland Paris, so don't quote me on that. I would love to stay there, so if someone can help me get out to Paris one day, I would love to go to Sequoia Lodge.
But Disney's really pioneered this hotel resorts at a theme park setting, right? And they're very good at it because a lot of these hotels are just phenomenal. So I guess our question is like, what makes a Disney hotel, right?
It is always the theming.
Do we think it's the theming?
Absolutely. What sets a Disney hotel apart? What sets Old Key West here, where we are staying right now? What sets this place apart from staying at a random Marriott or a Hilton or a Holiday Inn? What sets that apart?
It's truly when I walked in, because we were meeting you in the lobby, right?
Yep.
Or in that area, and you go in, and there isn't a building you go into. There isn't a lobby you go into. It looks
You
just
have that
like
little breezeway.
yeah, it's just a little village.
Yep.
And
And then-
in this building, there's the lobby. There's the
Right,
lobby and
that's
the
where the
check-in.
check-in is.
In
Right
this
over here
building,
is
there's a gift
Olivia's.
shop. There's the
Yep.
restaurant. There's the key lime Dole Whip swirl.
We're probably going to go grab some after the recording. Because
Oh,
that is
it's so amazing.
If you love Dole Whip, get yourself over to Old Key West and try the key lime Dole Whip that they have at Goods Food to Go right by the main pool. It is life changing, folks. It is life changing.
But I mean, the theming is really top tier, and I think
Yep.
some of the best examples of that are, Old Key West, Animal Kingdom Lodge, Fort Wilderness, Wilderness Lodge,
Yep.
Polynesian. The environment there, it's almost an attraction within itself, right?
This is why people have that attachment to these hotels when they come out and say, we're renovating it, and then they go in and they see the renovation and they see plain white walls and just the lack of better theming. And they're saying to themselves, wait, why am I staying here when I could just stay at like a Hilton or something like that?
And even if like plain white walls are part of the theme, there's a way to elevate that. It's and the proof of that is in the design of Disneyland Paris, right? When they were designing Fantasyland and the castle in Disneyland Paris, they could have just built our castle over there and called it good enough. But the problem is it's Gothic architecture, and that's the backyard in
Right.
France, in Paris especially. So what they did is when they built that castle, they had to elevate it to another fantasy level, and because it, just normal Gothic architecture looks like your backyard.
Well, it's the cultural
Right. So
thing.
even
It's-
if you're trying to go for a realistic environment and that environment calls for plain white walls, you cannot put plain white walls
Right.
in a hotel here. It
Right.
will not pass for a Disney hotel. You have to elevate it.
You have to elevate it with the architectural and thematic design of it. Because, look around you right here. We see these buildings that are very reminiscent of what you would find in the Florida Keys. And I think that's integral to the theming of it. Because they could have easily just slapped together these buildings and gave you a couple of villas.
But if you look at it, look at I'm just looking at the balconies right now, right? If this was a building in Key West, all of the railings would look exactly the same,
True.
right? But each one is slightly different. There's one that looks normal. There's one that's got hidden Mickeys on it. There's one that's a different color. They're all different in some way. They're a different shape. It's just something where it kind of elevates it to be, we're not quite in the real world, we're in a fantasized version of the real
Yep,
world.
absolutely.
And I think that's what makes the theming element of a Disney hotel.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, you know, we've got our chairs right here that we're sitting in on the patio. I mean, look at that. That's a conch shell. Like, that's thematic design. They could have just given us.
It could have just been a lawn chair,
They could have given us a lawn chair. Yeah.
you know.
But no, they put that design on there.
Well, granted, you can probably get these chairs anywhere, but it's like that selection of furniture that's kind of important
Yeah.
too.
Maybe
But-
they got this from Pier 1 or something like that.
but like if you just kind of look at the buildings themselves and the architectural details, there's little things that are like, okay, well this isn't just straight out of Key West; it's a little bit fantasized in some way. So, but looking around, you can see those details everywhere in all the hotels. But what about service at the hotels?
Service has to be exceptional. I mean, it's the Disney brand. You have to have.
It doesn't beat the cruise line though.
I don't think so.
Absolutely
I don't
not.
think it beats the service industry that you have on Disney Cruise Line. I was pleasantly surprised. Before we started recording, we had a housekeeping coordinator come in, knock on the door, and ask if we had gotten our housekeeping done. Because when we just had brunch over at Olivia's this morning, we came back to a cleaned room. They did our
Which we weren't expecting that.
exactly. I was not expecting it because I've always been under the impression, because I've stayed DVC plenty of times, that they don't usually come in for full housekeeping unless I believe it's like the 7th or 8th day if you're staying here for a prolonged period of time, because Disney Vacation Club is supposed to be known as home away from home. So you should be, you know, tidying up the place on your own. You shouldn't have to have housekeeping coming in. You have a washer and dryer because this is a 2-bedroom villa that we're in, or at least on the 1-bedroom villa side, you would have a washer and dryer, so you could do your clothes and everything there. You could clean the towels if you wanted to, which is something that we did because we weren't expecting to get more towels coming in. That's something I don't know if they've stepped up the game, because I read the card that's in there and they still said that, but it's clearly says that it's because that would be under member points. So if you're staying under your membership, then you're going to have that where they're going to come in on the 4th day, I believe, and take out your trash and everything. But on the 8th day, you'll get full housekeeping service. I'd have to look at the exact.
But the point
Right.
is, like, they exceeded our expectations just by stopping by
I'm
this
wondering if
morning.
it's because we're paying cash for this. If we weren't paying cash and do it, you know, if I was using like my parents' points, for example, then we wouldn't have gotten this. Then we wouldn't have gotten housekeeping today.
Maybe.
So that might be a perk that we did pay cash for
But
this.
I've never had bad service at a Disney hotel.
No, I
honestly.
never have either. I feel that some of the best cast members are at hotels. And I wonder if that's just because they don't have the hustle and bustle that they have to deal with the parks on their shoulders.
Maybe. What about the pool areas?
I mean, the pool areas,
There's some really cool pools on property.
I will say this, have not really done a Disney hotel pool since I was a kid. But I think the iconic one will and always be Stromalong Bay over at the Yacht and Beach Club. That one has like the lazy river attached to it. It has like 2 water slides. It's like a little mini water park attached
There's
to this
another
hotel.
one that I really love.
Which one is that?
Coronado.
Yeah.
Because it has the pyramid, the waterfall on the pyramid, and a really good bar.
Ooh.
They have a really
Is
good
it a
bar.
poolside bar though? Like
Oh,
that
yeah.
you can just like swim right up to?
No.
Oh, I
But
see.
is there one of those on property?
I don't think so. I think that's just kind
No,
of
they
like
don't
a
want the
Caribbean
children coming up.
Bahamas thing.
So this is something where I will definitely critique Disney on. There's a lot of adults that come to Disney, with kids, without kids. Even the ones that come to Disney with kids spend time without the kids, right?
I mean, case in point, this is what we're doing.
No, like,
But we don't have children.
well, we're
so-
childless millennials. We're ruining Disney.
We are childless.
We're ruining
millennials.
Disney according to the older generations. But
Yeah.
I would like to see more hotels on Disney with adult-only pools with that swim up bar, right? We have adult only areas on the cruise line.
So why can't we have adult-only areas at hotels
You know,
as well?
because like how quiet this is right now, I would like to have a pool with this kind of environment where maybe there's just some relaxing music playing. I can swim up, have a drink.
To
and,
the old Key
you
West
know,
perspective, if we are staying on, we're at building 33, so we're on Old Turtle Road, whatever that's called. There is another pool down that way.
But is it
that I
an
haven't showed
adult
you.
only pool?
It's not adult specific, but it is. I've always kind of been told through the grapevine that that is a very quiet pool.
Right,
Because
but what I
everyone
would
wants
like
to
is
go up to the
those
main one with the
designated.
water
I
slide.
would like those designated areas, and I
Sure.
mean, also like if that ends up being a quiet pool just because of the engineering of the place, that works too. But it's just, you know, I like
always
adult
say
only
this.
spaces.
I love adult spaces. You know, catch me whenever I'm on Disney Cruise Line at the Quiet Cove pool or at the bars after hours when it's 18 and up, or 21 and up, I should say. But as long as the area is quiet, I don't want kids just running around screaming their heads off when I'm trying to just sit and relax. I think there's a clear definition between wanting an adult area and wanting a quiet area of a pool. And it's Castaway Cay is a prime example, Disney's private island. You can go to the family beach, the main area right there, and have kids running around like crazy, you know, screaming their heads off. Then you have Serenity Bay, which is the adult area, and it's very quiet, but even adults can be sometimes rambunctious. Okay, you know, I remember I've gone there once and, you know, people were shouting and everything, so we kind of moved a little bit further down to have a little bit more seclusion. But then you can also go to the little area of the family beach closer to where the cabanas are, and it is so quiet over there. It is as quiet as it is right here. And that's for one reason. When a lot of these families get off on those ships at Castaway Cay, they will just park themselves right at the first lounge chairs that they see. So that's where everyone pretty much stays. They don't think to walk further down to the quieter areas. So that's a prime example to me of crazy rambunctious area, the adult area, and a quiet area.
Okay.
I'd rather have the quiet area,
Sure.
in all honesty.
So I think one of the things that really turns a hotel into a resort is dining, restaurants, right? We talked a little bit about bars, but
But let's talk about Olivia's here, because I think that was. Look, I've stayed at Old Key West plenty of times. This is my parents' home resort as DVC, so we have stayed here a couple of times in the past and have eaten at Olivia's Cafe in the main building. I've had great food there. Great food, great service over the years. We had dinner there last night. We just also came back from brunch, as I mentioned.
it's incredible.
Earlier.
It's incredible.
This is some of the best food I've had in a long time.
And I really think it's definitely worth a visit to Olivia's. It's a little off the beaten path. It doesn't usually get too busy.
Right.
But
we walked up both times. We didn't make a reservation or anything.
But what they're doing with the food over there right now is pretty good. Now you kind of have to know what to get and what not to get, and your servers are pretty good about telling you. Because,
Correct.
for
Like
example,
the server
last
told
night,
you last night. Yeah.
Well, last night I was really eyeing up the roasted pork dish that they had, and I asked the server. I said, "How is the pork?" And he honestly went. There was a little hesitation. I said, "Never mind. I'm not
As
going
soon
to
as
get
you
it
get
done."
that hesitation, you're like, okay. Because he said it was very dry, and I'm like, well, you know, a pork needs to be very moist and everything.
It does.
So,
But I went with the buttermilk chicken.
and that, you said that was delicious.
It was buttermilk chicken, country gravy, mashed potatoes, and a biscuit. It was really, really good. Now, they do have some really good appetizers right now.
Y'all, you need to get over to Olivia's and have the seafood chowder. This thing was so good because I tried it last night. I said seafood chowder sounds great. I love clam chowder. Let's take in on this. I felt like that moment from Ratatouille where Ego tries the Ratatouille, and it's like he zooms, has a flashback to his childhood, and then comes back to reality. That was me with having this seafood chowder.
Okay, that was me this morning when I had the crab cake eggs Benedict with the
Oh
key
my
lime
God.
hollandaise sauce.
Look, I don't think there's any bad food that we had at Olivia's.
Oh no.
There's nothing. I mean, that seafood chowder was so good that you ordered one for a takeout last night once you tried mine.
Oh, I'm gonna destroy that when we get done recording.
And then you loved it so much that you had it again this morning for brunch. 3 out of the 4 of us had the crab cake eggs Benedict this morning.
I had the
And
poke bowl.
You had the poke bowl, and I mean, you
But
said it was a pretty good poke bowl.
It was a good poke bowl.
Yeah.
But also I tried a bite of the crab cake eggs Benedict, and then we
And you had that ego moment
we
as well.
instantly made the decision that we are going to go for brunch again tomorrow morning for take 2.
Yep.
So it's
And the prices
Olivia's
are
has won us.
reasonable, too. The prices are reasonable. The crab cake eggs Benedict this morning was the most expensive thing on the menu at $26.
Then why was the? Oh, you know what? It was the alcohol.
Right. Because we had the Pog Mimosas.
I'm not revealing anything about
this
my
morning.
personality right now.
Yes, we have alcohol. We may or
Alcohol
may
on
not be
property does
alcoholics.
drive up the bill quite a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
$15 little
last
mimosa
night,
this morning.
Last night, the most expensive thing on the menu was the prime rib at $39. So let's take
Was that good? How was that?
I tried some of Megan's, and that was the prime rib was good, but when you added in the au jus to it, amazing. One of the best prime ribs I've probably ever had.
Good.
Considering we went to the steakhouse that's at Rose and Shingle Creek for our anniversary, and I had the prime rib there, and that was okay. It wasn't like, I think the one that I tried last night was better than that one, and that's saying something because that was a $39 prime rib last night versus the $60-something one that I had at the steakhouse. So, look, the point of this is Disney food is usually expensive. This is mildly expensive, I would say. You know,
But it's good.
I mean, the quality is there for the food for the price that you're getting. Usually it's the other way around. It's, the quality isn't there and the food is cheap because that's the case. But this is good. Like, honestly, I would start telling people, if you're looking for the true hidden gem of Walt Disney World dining, it is right here at Old Key West at Olivia's.
Now there's other good options too on property. Boma, the buffet over at the
But
Animal
would
Kingdom
you
Lodge.
say Boma is a secluded thing like Old Key West?
Oh no, it's
like
not
Olivia's
quaint.
is?
Olivia's is very quaint, but I was
Yeah.
just talking in general. There's really good restaurants like
yeah.
Boma, Steakhouse 71.
Again, I'm not trying to say that any restaurants across property are worse, or
I think
that-
it's probably the best value right now.
correct. Yeah, I think it's definitely the best value, but it's also, again, like I said, it's not something that you need a reservation for, too. So if you're wanting to have that spontaneity on your vacation here, come to Olivia's. I mean, again, both times we walked right up and we just said, "Hi, we're a party of 4."
Well, and the thing I've gotten about Key West so far is that this resort really has, since it is off the beaten path a little bit, you can be a little spontaneous at this resort.
Oh, absolutely.
You can just walk up to Olivia's, and even like the pool and the bar over by the pool and the snack stand, it's not too busy.
Nope.
It's just nice.
Well, and that I think also lends to the fact that the tourists that are staying here, that may or may not be their resort day, if they're even taking one, because they're going to the parks. That's always been the case with Disney hotels, is that they keep going up and up and up in price, and people keep saying, it's getting so expensive and everything, when rightfully so, because it is always meant to be just a place that you crash at night because you're spending the majority of your days in the parks. You're not taking full advantage of the amenities when you're, just finding a place to crash. This is why I tell
That's what
people,
Art of Animation's for.
that's what the All-Star is for. That's what Pop Century is for. If you just want a hotel to be able to, as they say, park your keister at night, then that is the all-star of the Pop Century hotels for you. Art of Animation, even to a point as well, but even Art of Animation can get pricey because of the family suites. If you are trying to stay at a deluxe hotel or a deluxe villa, like Old Key West, like Grand Floridian, like Polynesian, where you're spending upwards of $500 a night, please take a day or two and just enjoy the resort. Go to the pool, relax. We have a jacuzzi in the one-bedroom section of this villa. Enjoy the jacuzzi. Enjoy the air conditioning too, because holy crap, it's hot as all heck out here with this humidity.
It is.
In the middle of
I'm
July.
sweating.
Don't force yourselves to do the parks religiously. Old Key West, I think, is a perfect resort, just like Fort Wilderness is, to your point of view, Matt, where you can have a relaxing day and have fun activities throughout. Here at Old Key West, you can go to the pool, you can rent the bikes, you can just wander around, explore. They have activities in the community hall that you can participate in. So there's plenty of things to do to get the bang for your buck with staying at the resort.
And there's other hotels on property that offer those recreational activities as well.
Correct.
Fort Wilderness, most of the hotels along Seven Seas Lagoon have boat rentals.
Right.
So there's,
And again, you will pay extra for that stuff.
but there's things to do that you can enjoy the resort, right?
Correct.
Now, I will say my favorite resort that really checks all those boxes. That's an attraction in itself that I can spend all day at and really enjoy myself and the resort. It's not a Disney hotel.
Oh, Cabana Bay.
It is Cabana Bay at Universal because they
Well,
have.
Cabana Bay, you've got a bowling alley, you've got the lazy river.
You have two
You've
wonderful
got two
pool
wonderful
complexes,
pools.
and the pool bars are amazing,
Yeah.
and the snacks they offer is really good. Lowe's does really good food usually, but they really, when it comes to Cabana Bay, they really thought of everything that the guests would want or need there at a hotel for that price at that level.
I agree.
So it's definitely something to look up to. But in terms of Disney, I think it is Old Key West and it's still Fort Wilderness that are my favorite because they offer so many activities and attractions in themselves. Now, something Fort Wilderness has that's really unique is the Hoop-de-Doo.
Which we are going to this evening.
And it is a hoot. Now, they've also had other live shows at another resort,
Rest in
which
peace,
was
Spirit of Aloha at
the Polynesian,
Yep.
which has since retired to make way for the big
Tower.
But they still have the Hoop-de-Doo at the Fort. Matt just kicked the table.
I know, I did. Yeah.
But the Hoop-de-Doo is something really unique, and it's kind of interesting because they got rid of the show over at the Poly, right? Over at the Polynesian, but they've kept Hoop-de-Doo. And that's interesting to me because there have been chances to get rid of Hoop-de-Doo, but it's still here.
Hoop-de-Doo is much more iconic and memorable than the Spirit of Aloha Luau show.
I never
was.
experienced it.
I experienced it once. And I am going to be 100% honest. If I'm upsetting people out there in the audience, I'm sorry. I was very underwhelmed. I think I was also very underwhelmed. Well, granted, I did see it before then. But that was my first luau show that I've ever been to. I had never been to Hawaii at that point. And I was just very underwhelmed. The food was okay. I remember the Kahlua pork was very good because it had a very good sauce to it. But that was all I remembered with the food. Now, fast forward a few years when I married my best friend, and we
Your wife.
Exactly, and we honeymooned to Aulani. We did the luau there. That luau was so much more memorable than Spirit of Aloha was. The food was incredible.
Well, yeah, you're actually in Hawaii. This is like
true,
going to Walmart
true.
over
I
here.
get it. But I
compared to
will
that.
say the show was better. Because the Spirit of Aloha show was... It was a campy story that, I'm not saying anything to the story or anything. It was just kind of lackluster. When we had the show at Aulani, I cannot tell you for the life of me what that show was, but there were so many memorable moments throughout it where they were more engaging with the audience.
That's what Hoop-Dee-Doo has going for it.
Correct. Hoop-Dee-Doo is extremely engaging with the audience, to the point where, they'll call people up on stage. They'll go around and interact with you during the show. If anyone's celebrating birthdays or anniversaries, they make it a point to find those people in the audience. Don't do that to me tonight. I know you guys are thinking about it. Yes,
Oh,
for those
you
of you
think
that,
you won't.
For those
You
of you that
think we
don't
won't.
realize, yes, today is my 33rd birthday. I feel old. Thank you.
It only gets worse.
But Hoop-Dee-Doo is memorable because of those interactive moments. Same thing that the Luau had at Alani. The Spirit of Aloha, from what I remember, really didn't have that. I think there was a moment towards the end where they had kids come up, but that was really it. That was the only interactivity.
So
that I saw.
objectively, there's a reason it's not around anymore, right?
I think it was also the revenue-generating opportunity that they had with building the Island Tower Vacation Club. There.
Little column A, little column
Little
B.
column A, little column B. I don't think there's any reasoning why they couldn't try and bring the Spirit of Aloha back. They would probably have
They'd have to do it like Alani.
Correct.
They
Yes.
have to do it like
And
they
that
do
was
there.
the other thing, too, with Alani's Luau show, was that it had Mickey and Minnie and Moana in it. So they had characters.
Wait, so they
Spirit
had
of Aloha did
authenticity.
not.
Hold on, they had authenticity, and they had characters,
Correct.
and they had interaction.
Yep. So, I think you could easily bring the Luau show back. You'd have to build up the new space and everything.
Have to find a spot.
I think if you've noticed driving around there, they're reworking a lot of the roadways over there on Floridian Way and Seven Seas.
Which I think is for something else. But
Well, it is for something else. I think it's with the increase of traffic with Magic Kingdom for the next few years. It's also fixing up that intersection that they absolutely need to. But once that's all said and done, maybe they can have technically more space to the Polynesian Village Resort, and they can have the Luau show come back one day. That's just pure speculation on my point.
who knows? Who knows? But yeah, so I think it's really important that these hotels are attractions in themselves, whether they have an actual entertainment thing in them, or recreational activities, or theming, right? Also, there's transportation is a big deal. When a resort was originally built, everything was connected with monorail or boat. There were transportation methods
Yep.
that were unique and high capacity, right? Now, that's slowly kind of dissolved into just bus transportation over the years.
And I think that's also because of how wide open this property truly is. There's so many hotels across property that, the monorail was going to get way too expensive.
Oh,
to just keep
100%.
building
It's
it
not
around.
practical to keep building monorail.
No,
it's not.
I think it could be more practical to build Skyliners across property.
There's always the question about personal people mover systems.
And again, I think that could be almost as expensive as a monorail nowadays, too.
Well, Tesla.
Well, Tesla, if they could...
What they did in Vegas is interesting.
Well, and you saw the rumor of that they want to build a tunnel. Well, Universal wants to build a tunnel like that.
this is all unconfirmed,
along-
by the way.
Right, that's why we say rumor. They want to build that along I Drive, which to the somewhat native Floridian here, you do realize that if I dig about 15, 20 feet down into the ground, I'm going to hit water. How do you expect to put a tunnel in Florida? That's why we
It's-
don't have subways.
Yeah, it's going to be... Well, I always, for Epic Universe, sidebar, I always envisioned connecting Epic Universe or South Campus with Universal's North Campus, the Islands of Adventure Universal Studios,
But you've talked about this with the automated people mover.
with an automated people mover like you find in Orlando
That could
International
work.
Airport.
That could work because it would be above ground. They're talking about this thing being below ground. I'm like, guys, again, there's a reason why we don't have subways here. Because there's water underneath us.
It'll either work out in the engineering or it won't in the end, right?
And again, that's why it's pure speculation and rumor right now. I don't think it'll get built.
So Disney's built these resorts for decades now. One of the things they've started, though, is the Disney Vacation Club, which is kind of like a timeshare. Now, Matt's family has been involved in that for some time. What is that? What's your experience with that? How is it different or more unique with these resorts than it is a normal hotel at Disney?
Well, I've always said Vacation Club, yes, Vacation Club is a timeshare that Disney owns and operates. It is a unique timeshare. It is not like your typical Hilton Grand Vacations or Marriott, whatever their equivalent is. Where also, too, if you're staying at those hotels, they're going to be pressuring you to come and learn about the timeshare and everything like that. I can't tell you how many times I call up Hilton to book something and then they want me to sit on the line and listen to their timeshare pitch. Look, Disney Vacation Club, they have booths throughout the theme parks, and they are not to pressure you. They're not going to be stopping you in the street saying, hey, come on over here and learn about our timeshare. No, they won't talk to you about it until you walk up to the booth and inquire about it. If you inquire about it, then they'll start giving you the timeshare pitch, if anything. Which, to me, I can give you my timeshare pitch of Disney Vacation Club. Buy one vacation and get X amount of years free. That is my belief with Disney Vacation Club. So, for example, this is all also based on Disney's rates for Vacation Club. Right now, you can purchase your hotel for $235 per point. That's what it starts at. That will obviously go up based on the hotel property. So, for example, if you buy 100 vacation points, that's $23,500. Could also be less if they're running promotions. Vacation Club does offer promotions, and I can talk about that in a moment. The closing costs, you will have to pay a closing cost because it is real estate to a point. And that will vary based on your resort and how many points you own. But that could be starting at upwards of $393. Obviously, a lot less than what a closing cost would be on, a $500,000 home or something like that. And then you will have annual dues, which will go towards the operating costs of the resort itself, taxes, and a few more miscellaneous things. That will start at about $67 a month. But what my family has always done with those is using the Disney Rewards points through the Visa card to help pay the annual dues. So, highly recommend if you're ever looking into Disney Vacation Club, get yourself the Disney Visa, so in this way your reward points can basically cover the majority of your annual dues there. So, why do I say it is buy one vacation, get several years free? Because it kind of is. It kind of is. You could be paying a couple $1,000s a year for your annual dues, but that purchase price is hefty. But that's your purchase price for the points. So let's say you do just go out and buy 100 points for $23,500 at that point. And it can be cheaper if you go through resale, but you will have the contract a lot less. Think about how much you would spend for a vacation, a week at the Grand Floridian or something like that, in a regular room with all your tickets, all that kind of stuff. That is your one vacation. That could, depending on where you stay, that could be 6 digits easily. With Vacation Club, you're paying for that essentially over the course of time, but then you're getting all these years with it. To give you a perspective, this was what I pulled up. You could purchase Disney's Riviera Resort right now. 100 vacation points for $23,500. Your closing cost would be $694. So your one-time cost would be just a little over $24,000. They do have financing opportunities too, obviously, since that is a huge purchase. But there are offers in there to help you save money, up to $6,500. The villas at Disneyland Hotel only goes up to $245 a point. So that would be just a little under $25,000. Aulani is actually even cheaper than that, at the same $235 a point, and that would be just a tad bit over $24,000. So, and I know a lot of people would probably say, well, how much does 100 points get you? Well, depending on the season, that could get you a week in a studio, which is what you and your wife have, Matt.
Right.
The 2 beds in there, a little kitchenette, a shower, a typical room. Now, if you want to save up your points, you can bank them for the following year, and you can take that 100 points and turn it into 200 points the following year. So if you're only going to go to Disney every 2 years, that can be great for you too. Because guess what? 200 points could get you, again, depending on the season, a week in a 1-bedroom like we're sharing right now. Now, the 2-bedroom, obviously, where we're combining the
Right.
1-bedroom and the studio, would be a lot more. The point I'm trying to make is this. You don't have to go out and spend these outrageous prices for those deluxe hotels. You can have these deluxe villas with your Disney Vacation Club for a heck of a lot cheaper. Especially a heck of a lot cheaper if you go through resale. Because with resale, this is something that I just pulled up through DVC Resale Market. Again, we have no affiliation with them whatsoever. But they will sell you 290 points at Old Key West for $82 a point. Now, there are some setbacks if you do resale. If you do resale, you do not get to have the DVC perks, meaning you don't get to go to the lounge that's at Epcot. You don't get to partake in the discounts, I believe, across property. Another big discount that a lot of DVC people take into account is the fact that they can purchase an annual pass. If you're out of state, the only annual pass that you can purchase would be the Incredipass, which is over $1,600 plus tax. If you are a DVC, you can purchase the Sorcerer Pass as well. And that's just, I believe it's a tad over $1,000. And its only blackout dates are Thanksgiving and Christmas, which I would never tell you to go.
You don't want to be here in those
Disney at that point anyway.
weeks.
So that's a nice perk with it as well, especially if you're going to take advantage of that. If you can come enough that is worth it. I will say this. DVC, there is not a single person that I've talked to that owns Vacation Club that would regret their decision. They've enjoyed it. The accommodations, as we can see here at Old Key West,
They're very nice.
fantastic. Every single room that you will have some sort of a patio / balcony. Again, it's very expensive,
Now,
but it's very worth it.
it is a lot to take in.
And again, I'm not trying to sell this to y'all out there. I'm just trying to give you a perspective of it.
It's and so it's a lot to take in for someone to consider whether they want to buy this or not, and it's hard to commit to something that you haven't tried, right? So there are a couple options if you haven't decided but you like to get a taste of it, right? Either you know somebody who you can book with, or there's a couple of websites out there that what they do is people who have DVC, who have points but may not be using them, they'll sell their points, and
Correct.
then that third party is kind of like a broker, and the people who own the points will make the reservation for you,
Right.
and then you can stay there in their name essentially.
Like I've seen people say, like, "Oh, you can take my points for a trip. It's just got to be used by March of next year."
and they
but
can book
I'll-
a hotel for you, and
Right,
that's
they'll
what we
book
did.
the hotel,
But that's what we did
and
for
they would say,
Kidani.
like, "Oh, $20 a point."
Yeah.
And if it's 100 points, that's
But
a pretty great deal.
My wife and I did that for Kidani when I proposed. at the Animal Kingdom Lodge, because at the time it was after COVID and only Kidani was open. So we were able to use one of those third parties to buy points and book at Animal Kingdom Lodge. There's also another way, because it's a timeshare, each facility, they have to offer a certain amount of quote-unquote cash rooms per day.
Correct.
So there's always a chance you could grab
Because
one of
again,
those
we're
rooms.
here under a cash rate.
Right.
Obviously, I don't have Disney Vacation Club until I inherit it one day. But this is, we paid cash for this. You can just come in and pay cash for this.
And when we say cash,
it's going to be a lot of
when
money.
we say cash, it's credit too. It's right. It doesn't actually have to be cash, does it?
Well, yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the price of it. Instead of using points where we're quote unquote paying cash, but on a credit card, obviously.
Right. Okay. So,
But
there's options
that
to
may
get a
not
taste
be
for this.
cheap.
No.
We obviously have a discount for this, but the rack rate for a 2-bedroom villa that we have can be almost $1,000 a night. That is extremely expensive. Now, granted, this can also sleep 9 people. You have 4 people in the studio, 2 people on the master king bed in the 1-bedroom. You also have a pull-out couch in the living room that sleeps 2, and then a single pull-out that'll sleep 1 additional person. So that's 9 people. If you have that big of a family that's coming in, perhaps a 2-bedroom might be worth it for you, and divide that cost off, and that might be a significant price difference for you versus taking 2 or 3 hotel rooms at the All-Star or something like that.
Right.
And granted, I'm sure 2 or 3 hotel rooms at the All-Star still doesn't add up to $1,000 a night, but this is also much better accommodations than the All-Star.
Yes.
So,
But if you haven't tried a Disney resort, even if you're local, just give it a try. Find something that speaks to you. It's definitely quality accommodations.
absolutely. It is world-class accommodations. Now, I will say the true world-class accommodations are on Disney Cruise Line.
That's a whole nother topic.
That is a whole other topic of a show where, we're still talking about it. That probably our next on-the-road show like we did here will be
Key West. Or
Castaway Key.
Castaway Key. We're at Key
We're
West.
at Old Key West.
The heat is getting to my
The
head.
heat is getting to you. It's
I think we
okay.
might be trying to wrap up in a
Yeah,
minute.
no,
'cause
absolutely.
I'm
Because
sweating.
I am sweating my butt off. I need to hop into that jacuzzi because, we've got a jacuzzi in these 1-bedrooms. So, guys, thank you all for tuning in once again. Again, the show is not possible without the viewership and listeners, so please keep listening. Also, too, Matt doesn't even know this. I keep forgetting to mention this. We are now being published on YouTube with all of our episodes. So for those of you that are listening on YouTube, thank you for tuning in and keep listening. Hopefully every week when we do these.
Eventually, we'll do video.
Eventually we'll do video, but we gotta
Slowly evolving.
we need more people to be listening in for video, and I need a bigger budget for this. So
We'll figure it out. Come to Disney World. Check out the hotels. Check out the restaurants. Check out the accommodations.
absolutely,
It's a good time.
guys, thank you all for tuning in, and we'll be back with you again next time for another episode of the Theme Park Land podcast.
So long, everyone.